Yeah.
don't exactly jump for joy when we see a pest.
Yeah, I think that's a fair statement.
Right. It can be kind of creepy,
Yeah,
especially when you get like a lot of them. It's like, get me out of here.
absolutely.
But, when you think about it,
Mm-hmm.
these pests are incredibly successful creatures, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
I mean, they've been around forever,
Millions of years.
survived everything we've thrown at them,
Yeah.
adapted to every environment,
Yep.
not going anywhere.
Nope.
So there's got to be something to their behavior.
Oh, absolutely.
Right.
Yeah, there's a fascinating science behind how they behave and why they do what they do.
So today we're going to take a deep dive into that,
Awesome.
into the world of pest behavior.
Love it.
Uncover some of those hidden patterns
Mm-hmm.
that drive them.
Yes.
And by understanding that,
Yeah,
we can come up with
for sure.
much more effective, even eco-friendly solutions to pest control.
It's true. Once you understand their motivations, you can start to come up with much better, more effective strategies.
So let's start with one that everybody's familiar with,
Okay.
even if we don't want to be
All right.
cockroaches.
Ah, yes, the roaches.
I mean, those things can give anyone the chills.
Yeah, they're not the most pleasant creatures to encounter.
No, they're not, but there's a reason why they seem to
Mhm.
appear out of nowhere,
Right.
especially at night.
Exactly. So one of the keys to understanding cockroach behavior is that they really don't like the light.
So they're like vampires.
Kind of, yeah. They've evolved to be nocturnal to avoid predators.
Ah, so that scuttling around in the dark.
Yep.
It's not them trying to be spooky.
No.
It's just them trying to survive.
They're just trying to avoid becoming someone else's midnight snack.
Actually makes them a little less scary, knowing that they're just trying to avoid being someone else's dinner.
It's all about survival. And this nocturnal behavior is a great example of how understanding a pest's natural instincts can help us control them.
So you're saying instead of like
Mhm.
spraying all day long, you're just going to target the night.
Yeah. By knowing that cockroaches are more active at night, we can actually target our treatments and strategies for those hours, making them much more efficient.
So work smarter, not harder.
Exactly. Precisely.
Okay, what about,
Mhm.
rodents?
Rodents. Yeah.
I mean, those can be a big problem too.
Oh, huge.
But they're not just randomly running around either, right?
No, they're not.
They seem to have their little pathways.
They do. They're incredibly cautious, and they prefer to stick to walls and established pathways.
So they're not big fans of open spaces.
Not really, no. They like to feel protected.
That's why you do that running the runway thing.
Exactly. We strategically place traps and bait stations along those pathways.
And they're more likely to run into them there.
Exactly. It's
No.
much more targeted and minimizes the use of those widespread chemical treatments.
So less is more.
In a way, yes, absolutely.
It's fascinating. But
Yeah.
what about those times when it feels like
Yeah.
pest infestations just come out of nowhere?
Mm-hmm.
It's like one day, everything's
Yeah.
fine.
Right.
Next day, it's a horror movie.
That's a feeling a lot of people experience.
Yeah.
It's really tied to the opportunistic nature of pests.
Okay.
They're always looking for a chance to expand and reproduce.
Like they're just waiting.
Exactly. They're waiting for that perfect opportunity to take over.
Wow. It's kind of scary when you think about it.
It can be, yeah.
Like when you get those,
Like those warm summer nights.
yeah, those warm summer nights.
Where the mosquitoes are just out in force.
Oh, yeah.
That's a perfect example of how environmental conditions can create ideal breeding grounds for pests.
Okay, so you're saying it's not just about reacting to infestations,
Right.
but understanding what causes them, what triggers them in the first place.
You got it. And that's where the science of pest control has really evolved.
So we're not just going in and spraying everything in sight.
No, we've moved beyond that era of indiscriminate spraying.
We're getting smarter,
We are.
more targeted.
Much more.
You call that integrated pest management, right?
Exactly, or APM for short.
IPM?
Yeah, have you heard of that before?
I've heard the term, but
Yeah.
I'm not really sure what it all entails.
So IPM is a holistic approach.
Okay.
It focuses on prevention, monitoring, and targeted solutions.
So it's about understanding the entire life cycle of the pest.
Exactly. It's about knowing their weaknesses.
Our habits.
Yep. And then using that knowledge to disrupt their ability to thrive. It's really about working smarter, not harder.
So you're not just going in guns blazing.
No. Yeah.
You're trying to be a
Right.
little more strategic about it.
Strategic and minimize our impact on the environment in the process.
So instead of just trying to kill everything,
Right.
you're using their own biology against them.
Exactly.
That's pretty cool.
It's like a game of chess in a way.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah, for example, you know how termites are notorious for damaging wooden structures.
Oh, yeah. Tell me about it.
That's every homeowner's worst nightmare.
Absolutely. So how do you deal with that with this IPM approach?
So IPM takes advantage of the fact that termites are highly attracted to cellulose,
What?
the main component of wood.
Oh, okay. So
So
you're using their love of wood against them.
exactly, we can use cellulose-based bait systems to actually lure termites away from homes.
Oh, that's interesting.
These baits are designed to be irresistible to termites.
So they can't resist it.
They can't, and they draw them away from the structure. They disrupt the colony.
So it's like you're redirecting them,
Exactly.
leading them away from the stuff you want to protect.
Precisely.
So instead of dousing everything with chemicals,
Right.
you're basically using their own natural instincts to get rid of them.
That's the idea.
That's amazing. And that works with other pests too.
It does, yeah. It can be applied to a variety of different pests.
Like, give me another example.
So, for instance, understanding the reproductive cycle of bedbugs can allow us to time treatments perfectly to interrupt their breeding.
Oh. So we're
Yes.
disrupting the cycle.
The breeding cycle.
Exactly. Preventing
Mhm.
future infestations.
I see. Okay.
Yep.
It's amazing how much you can accomplish when you understand
I-
the science behind it.
Absolutely.
You know, speaking of science, I've heard there's some pretty cool technology being used these days.
Oh, yeah.
Like stuff that sounds straight out of Star Wars.
It's really remarkable. The technological advancements in pest control are truly remarkable.
Like what? Give me an example.
So we now have pheromone traps that use specific scents to attract and capture target pests.
So you're using like their own communication
Exactly.
against them.
We're kind of tricking them.
That's pretty clever.
And then there are infrared cameras that can detect termite colonies hidden deep within walls.
Wow, that's like X-ray vision for pests.
It is. It takes the guesswork out of finding them.
Wow.
And then it's getting really high tech.
It is. And what's even more impressive is the use of artificial intelligence in pest control.
Really. AI.
Yeah, AI.
No.
So AI algorithms can analyze massive amounts of data, including weather patterns, pest behavior, and even structural features of buildings
To do what?
to predict infestations before they even happen.
Wow, that's like a crystal ball for pest problems.
It's pretty amazing.
So you can be proactive.
Exactly.
And by doing that, you can use less pesticides.
Absolutely. You can really minimize the use of pesticides.
You know, one thing I've been hearing a lot about is
Yeah.
this eco-friendly pest control.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I think a lot of people are skeptical about that.
Yeah, I understand the skepticism.
Like, can it really be as effective as the traditional methods?
Well, in my experience, eco-friendly pest control is not only possible, but often more effective in the long run.
Really?
It really is.
So it's like you're working with nature instead of against it.
Exactly.
So tell me, how do you do that?
So one approach is called biological control. Okay.
And it involves introducing beneficial insects that prey on the pests you're trying to control.
So it's like fighting fire with fire,
Exactly.
but with bugs.
But with bugs.
Okay, like what kind of bugs?
So, for example, ladybugs are really great predators of aphids.
Oh.
So they can be incredibly effective at controlling aphid infestations in gardens.
So you're releasing ladybugs into people's gardens?
Exactly.
That's cool.
It's a fun one, right?
That's like you have this army of tiny superheroes
right.
battling the bad guys.
Exactly.
That's a great visual.
Now, another key strategy is making structural changes to your home
Okay.
that discourage pests from settling in.
So you're talking like...
Yeah, sealing up cracks and crevices,
Mhm.
reducing moisture,
Okay.
eliminating food sources.
Got it.
These things can make a huge difference.
So you're making your home less attractive
Exactly.
to pests.
You're making it less pest-friendly.
less pest-friendly.
Right.
I like that.
And the beauty of it is it's not only effective at controlling pests,
Mm-hmm.
but it also creates a healthier and safer environment for you and your family.
No, that's a win-win.
Right.
So you've been doing this for a while. You must have some good stories
Oh, I have tons of stories.
about how this has worked in real life.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Tell me one.
All right, so I had this client who was battling a really stubborn ant problem.
Okay.
They had tried everything, store-bought sprays, DIY remedies. Nothing seemed to work.
They were probably pulling their hair out.
They were at their wits' end.
I can only imagine.
So we took a different approach. We said, okay, let's focus on identifying the source of the ants' food supply.
So instead of going in and spraying,
Yeah.
you decided to investigate.
We investigated. We found the source.
Okay, so you cut off the supply line.
We cut off the supply line, took away their motivation for being there.
And then what happened?
The results were amazing.
Really?
Within a few weeks, the ant problem was completely gone.
Wow, that's incredible. The client was thrilled, and they didn't have to worry about any lingering toxins or
I
chemicals.
think they were happy.
Oh, yeah. It was a great example of how understanding pest behavior and using targeted eco-friendly solutions can be incredibly effective.
So it's like a detective story,
It is, kind of.
but for pests.
For pests.
And in the end,
Yeah.
the good guys win.
The good guys win.
Yeah, it's really amazing what you could do when you take the time to really understand the problem.
It really is. It's about being thoughtful, not just reactive.
This whole deep dive has been really eye-opening.
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
You know, I used to just think of pests as these annoyances,
Right.
these things you just got to get rid of.
Yeah.
But now I'm seeing them as these complex creatures
Mm-hmm.
with their own, behaviors and roles to play.
Exactly. It's fascinating.
I think that's a really important shift in perspective.
So let's say someone's listening to this right now.
Yeah.
And they've got a pest problem.
Mm-hmm.
What's the first thing they should do? Well, even before calling a professional, the most valuable tool is observation.
Observation.
Just take the time to understand the situation.
Yeah.
What kind of pest are you dealing with? Where are they coming from? What are they attracted to?
So it's like you're a pest detective.
Exactly. You got to gather your clues.
I like that. And once you've gathered your clues.
Then it's time to think about prevention.
Okay.
Because the best way to control pests is to make your home less appealing to them in the first place.
So like sealing up cracks.
Exactly.
Cleaning up spills.
Yeah.
Storing food properly.
Absolutely.
Getting rid of clutter.
All those things, all those simple steps can make a huge difference.
So you're making your home
Right.
less pest friendly.
Less pest friendly.
And then if you've done all that and you're still having problems,
Right.
then it's time to call in a professional.
Exactly. But look for someone who understands IPM.
Someone who's going to work with you
Mm-hmm.
to come up with a solution that's safe and effective.
Safe and effective.
And good for the environment. Absolutely. You want someone who's on your team.
Well, this has been a truly fascinating deep dive.
It has.
I feel like I've learned so much
Me too.
about these often misunderstood creatures.
It's amazing what you can learn when you take the time to look.
So as we wrap up here,
Yeah.
is there any final thought you'd like to leave our listeners with?
You know, the next time you encounter a pest, whether it's an ant in your kitchen or a spider spinning a web in your garden,
Mm-hmm.
just take a moment to pause and observe it.
Okay.
Don't just reach for the spray or swat it away. Just watch how it moves, how it interacts with its surroundings.
Be curious.
Be curious. You might be surprised by what you learn.
I love that.
And you might even develop a newfound appreciation for these creatures.
That's a great takeaway.
It's all about understanding.
Well, thank you so much for joining us today.
It's been my pleasure.
This has been a truly enlightening deep dive.
It has.
And I'm sure our listeners are walking away with a wealth of knowledge
I hope so.
and a fresh perspective on the world of pests.
Absolutely.
Thanks again.
Thank you for having me yesterday.